Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is William Heineman, and I am your host. And this is Just Force 911, where we look at how our public officials do their job or they really screw it up. Okay, so this is another one about P Nut the Squirrel. Um, if you would please subscribe to my channel, if you would hit the like and share, it helps my algorithms. Thumbs up, thumbs down tells me how I'm doing for you folks. And leave me a comment, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you know when I put out a new video. Keep in mind, guys, we have a merch store. It's down the information on the bottom of the video. Um, it's 10% off until Christmas. Please check it out and see if there's anything there you want. It's high quality stuff. It's not junk. It's not something you're going to pay for. Wash it one time and it falls apart. My question to you is, in New York, the DEC, which is Department of Environmental Conservation, put a death warrant out on a squirrel and a raccoon. Okay. I don't know the judge that signed the warrant. It just boggles my mind that somebody could be such a moron. It just, what's next? They're going to come in and go after Fluffy, your cat, or Spot, your dog. I mean, what's next? These overbearing officials that are public officials that have their head so far up their butt that they can't even see daylight. This is completely and totally so past, common sense that they're getting death threats and they're getting bomb threats, and I'm sorry, I don't blame them. You should never ever threaten anybody with bodily harm. You shouldn't threaten anybody with a bomb threat. It's ridiculous. There's no reason for it. However, there are people out there that feel very strong about stuff like this, and they can do what they want. They are citizens of the United States of America. We have a Constitution that says so, that makes us semi-free. But it's things like this that undermine the quality of America's citizenship. It used to be, back in the 50s and 60s and prior to that, we were the strongest nation on earth. We were the best place to live. We actually cared about our neighbors. We cared about each other. And now it's become so diluted that, it's when you have gang members that are part of the sheriff's department in California, that's a problem. And we're not talking a couple. We're talking about 7 different gangs that are in the sheriff's department that the Justice Department knows about and can't do anything because of the thin blue line. And it's just, it's absolutely ridiculous and asinine. It's beyond stupidity that we allow this to happen. So let's check this out. And like I said again, it's a shame that that there are people out there that are so inept to having feelings of being a human being that they have to stoop to killing a squirrel and a raccoon. This is just unconscionable. So let's check this out. Here we go.
Rescued squirrel turned social media star and raccoon in New York, captivating the country. This is P Nut the Squirrel, who was found injured on the streets of Manhattan 7 years ago. Mark Longo rescued the animal, eventually sharing videos like this of him and Peanut on the internet, garnering millions and millions of followers. That all changed on October 30th when Longo's home was raided by New York State's Department of Environmental Conservation. Officers seizing not only Peanut, but Fred the raccoon, an animal that Longo and his wife were nursing back to health. Both animals were euthanized, part of testing for rabies. Joining me now, I have Mark Longo. Mark, thank you so
much. You have 7 years of videos of this squirrel, and somebody didn't go, Maybe the squirrel's okay. He doesn't seem to have any signs of rabies. How about the raccoon? I'm sure there's several hours of those. This is the overstep, the overreach of our government, and this has to stop. The FBI can do whatever they want. They can burn down buildings, they can burn down structures, they can, delete people, and there's nothing you can do about it. The marshals are the same way. But now it's turning around to where the public is starting to be able to go after these people who do these acts, and as it should be.
So much for taking the time this morning. I mean, this story has just gutted me. It's been just over 2 weeks since this story unfolded. How are you and your wife holding up?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me, Marky. This has been a tragedy. My wife and I are just trying to kind of live day by day. It's a lot of grieving, it's a lot of anger, it's a lot of emotions at the moment.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I actually, in the height of COVID, had a pet squirrel that would come into my house, and I'd feed him. I named him Cleo and feed him out of the palm of my hand. Nothing anywhere near the relationship that you had with Peanut. So I'm so very sorry. There was confirmation earlier this week, Mark, that both Peanut and Fred tested negative for rabies, and that there was a plan to test them before they even raided your home. What was running through your mind when you heard about this?
It's a terrible feeling. You move here, you start a nonprofit, and you get your animals murdered over a little bit of paperwork. It's a little devastating. I was targeted. There's no doubt in my mind that this is a lot bigger than a squirrel and a raccoon, and I'm really hoping to get answers moving forward. It's been 16 days, and the state and the governor and anybody in the government in New York State has not called me, hasn't responded to me. They didn't even tell me that they killed my animals.
So what do you think? Did somebody rat you out? I mean, what happened here? Was it just, who put you on authorities' radars for something like this?
I honestly wish I knew, but it trickles down to the government. Is this, an open door for people to just complain about your neighbors? And if you do it enough, they're going to raid your house. When does the line, is drawn? It doesn't matter how many complaints. We had a squirrel for 7.5 years. It wasn't ignorance. Nobody's ever told us or educated us on what kind of paperwork we would need. And then we were in the process of doing it while we moved to New York, and then this happened. So it's devastating.
Yeah, and these videos, I mean, they look harmless, I know you told Chris Cuomo earlier this week on our air that you plan to file a very big lawsuit. Have you filed yet? And what does justice look like to you?
Not yet. We are moving baby steps. Justice is for animals, and justice is for people and animals. So this never happens again. We wasted so many resources, 10 officers, full day, a 5-hour raid, a 10-month investigation for a squirrel and a raccoon. That's what the New York State is using our taxpayers' money for.
And see, there's a cat right there. Why was the cat assassinated? I'm from Nebraska. I had a raccoon for a short while till it cornered my mother in the kitchen, and then my dad took care of it. It just these mindless drones that we have that we put into public service. I understand they only have a 20% IQ. I get that, a 20 IQ, and I understand they're morons. Okay, but they have to start thinking, and they have to start worrying about reprisals, because the problem with this whole thing is this gentleman has a good ground for a lawsuit. Okay, now, do you think the DEC is going to pay for this? No, they're not. This is going to cost the taxpayers of New York. And this is absolutely ridiculous. This is no different than a police officer stepping outside the boundaries of his job. Okay? There is no reason whatsoever that you need to go in and seize a raccoon and seize a squirrel on the intent of murdering that. It's someone's pet. Okay? Now, it's not a lion. It's not a tiger. People all over the country own boa constrictors. They have snakes. They have spiders. I personally don't like spiders, but hey, If that's what gets you up in the middle of the night, cool. No big deal. People have turtles. This guy had a squirrel for 7.5 years. The raccoon wasn't a pet. It was something that was being rehabilitated because it was injured because of his nonprofit. When are we going to start calling these clowns at the DEC and anybody else that steps outside the boundary of your job? When are we going to start holding you clowns responsible? Now's a good time. A Supreme Court justice has already stepped in and said, the DEC is screwed if this guy decides to sue because he has grounds to sue on. And I think it's very scary that we allow our public officials to act like frickin' morons. And we do nothing about it. We have some clown down in North Carolina that a hemp farmer who filled all the paperwork out and got permission to grew hemp, and this Ranger Rick cowboy down there decided that he didn't like how the guy was acting because he wasn't his friend, and tried several times to get warrants to go in and destroy the crops, and the attorney general said, no, you don't have the right to do that. A judge told him that you don't have the right to destroy the crops. And what did he do? He went out and destroyed the crops. And who has to pay for that? Not this asshole. It had to be the citizens that had to pay the farmer back. And nothing happens to these idiots. They just think that they have immunity because they're sovereign citizens. That's what they actually think, that they're above the law. And this crap needs to stop.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of questions and a lot of things that don't really add up here. I know some of the authorities involved in this case, they've received death threats. Some of the departments have received bomb threats over this from people who are siding with you and are just outraged by this story. What's your message to those who are threatening harm right now in the aftermath of your story?
I just want to remind those people that we're all human beings and mistakes are made. We don't ever condone violence. It's actually very counterproductive with what we're trying to do here. We're trying to pass new laws in Peanut's name to help make sure that this never happens to another family. So please, for all the support and the love, I can't thank y'all enough, but violence is not the answer here. Justice is, and we could do that in a very lawful way. But this stuff needs to stop. And I've been, strongly advocating against the violence that's been transpiring throughout this whole thing.
Well, your videos brought warmth and happiness to so many of your followers. I'm so very sorry for what you and your wife are going through. Mark Longo, thank you again for joining us. Please keep us posted from afar as your case progresses.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. So once again, we're not asking for people to be, silly and do bomb threats. That's not how you solve problems. You don't threaten people. There's no reason to. What you do is you get the laws changed and you get the problem solved. And then you hold people to accountability. And that's what we don't do in America anymore. It's not my fault that, I was molested as a child. It's not my fault that, I have a big face. It's not my fault because I have a pug nose. Really? Okay. Yeah, it is my fault because I'm me and I'm okay with that. And it's nobody else's problem but mine. But I am a grown up, so therefore I can handle it. And if I can't, I have those around me that help me. Okay? Remember, guys, you're never going to solve anything with violence. If our cops would understood that, it'd be a lot easier, but they seem to think that violence is the way to do it because they get to be Rambo Rick. It's ridiculous. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you folks again soon.